From May 23 to 24, China conducted a military drill around Taiwan Island. According to Chinese strategist and former Air Force Colonel Professor Wang Xiangsui, Beijing is now embracing the approach of hybrid warfare, where the traditional dichotomy of peace and war no longer applies. Here are his thoughts. After China's military drill, while the Western media focused on the military practice itself, Taiwanese media attempted to draw attention to Taiwan's seemingly calm stock market, in an effort to downplay the impact of Beijing's actions on Taiwan's economy. Often portrayed by the Taiwanese media as the reflection of public opinion, the Taiwanese stock market only dipped slightly this time before quickly rebounding. This was flaunted by the Taiwanese media as an indication of Taiwan people's defiance of Beijing's military exercises. Is it as simple as it seems? If we look closer, Taiwan's stock market reveals a scam that has been meticulously crafted and operated for nearly 30 years. The Taiwanese stock market doesn't obey the rules of a free economic market. Rather, it heavily relies on funding from the Taiwanese authorities, as a result of the market being severely rattled by mainland China's military exercises during the Taiwan Strait crisis of 1995 to 1996, which I personally experienced. During that time, a series of military exercises by the mainland severely impacted the Taiwanese stock market, especially after the missile tests from August 13th to August 26th, 1995. The Taiwanese stock market dropped by 1-2 percentage points every day. By the end of the exercises, the market had plummeted from 7,051 points to 4,503 points, nearly halving in value. The true perception of Taiwan by the international capital markets was laid bare. Consequently, on February 12, 1996, Taiwan urgently established the Stock Market Stabilization Fund. Initially, the fund was only 200 billion new Taiwan dollars, nearly $6.2 billion, raised by pressuring private enterprises and social welfare departments on the island to contribute. This included 31.5 billion from the banking industry, 94.5 billion from the insurance industry, 60 billion from life insurance and postal savings, 13 billion from the Labor Retirement Fund, and even 1 billion from the Civil Servants Relief Fund. The Stock Market Stabilization Fund pulled the Taiwanese stock market back from the brink of complete collapse. Since then, during times of tension in cross-strait relations, the fund has repeatedly played a role in supporting the market. The Stock Market Stabilization Fund has become a moat protecting Taiwan's stock market and financial sector. However, the effectiveness of this fund is now called into question, as Chinese mainland's economic power has grown significantly stronger compared to 28 years ago. In 1995, Taiwan's GDP was equivalent to 37% of mainland China's GDP. But by 2024, this proportion has dropped to less than 4%. In 2023, Fujian Province, located across the Taiwan Strait, already surpassed Taiwan in terms of total GDP. The relative economic advantage of the mainland over Taiwan has expanded more than tenfold, while Taiwan's Stabilization Fund has not been expanded since 2011, with its size only reaching 597.2 billion new Taiwan dollars. Though already triple the size of its original size, Taiwan's Stabilization Fund will be a drop in the ocean if Beijing imposes economic sanctions or initiates financial attacks. It won't be enough to counter a tenfold stronger pressure. So why hasn't the Chinese mainland taken such actions? Because Chinese mainland has always held high expectations for peaceful reunification, thus refraining from policies aimed at impoverishing Taiwan. Any current economic impacts on Taiwan are merely unintended consequences of military exercises. not a result of deliberate economic sanctions. However, the foundation of goodwill is increasingly being undermined by the Taiwanese separatists, making it harder to sustain. It should be noted that this military drill signals a significant shift in Chinese mainland's policy towards Taiwan, as Beijing is now entering a new phase of forced reunification. Forced reunification is not to unify Taiwan by force, but a low-intensity hybrid warfare conducted in the gray zone between peace and war, utilizing a mix of military and economic power. The goal of pressuring Taiwan through a hybrid warfare is to demonstrate to the Taiwanese people the consequence of choosing to be a pawn for the U.S. in its effort to contain China, rather than pursuing peaceful unification. Currently, Chinese mainland has implemented a series of favorable policies and measures towards Taiwan, which has allowed the mainland to remain Taiwan's largest export market and the largest source of its trade surplus. According to Taiwan's Ministry of Finance, in 2021, Taiwan's total exports to the Chinese mainland reached $249.979 billion, while imports from the mainland were $78.364 billion, giving Taiwan a trade surplus of $171.6 billion for the year. According to data recently published by Taiwan's finance departments, in 2021, Taiwan's exports to Chinese mainland and Hong Kong amounted to $188.906 billion, with imports from the mainland at $84.171 billion, resulting in a trade surplus with the mainland of $104.735 billion. Taiwan's overall trade surplus for the year was $65.28 billion. This shows that Taiwan has to rely on support from the Chinese mainland to maintain its trade surplus. Taiwan's new leader, Lai Ching-te, recently claimed that the international community will not accept any country creating trouble in the Taiwan Strait. The comment shows Lai's habitual dependence on external forces and his poor judgment on who the troublemaker really is for the international community. Additionally, it reveals Lai's oversight of Taiwan's economic dependence on the Chinese mainland. The One China policy is the political foundation of China-U.S. relations. If China-U.S. relations hit a dead end, maintaining global peace will be extremely difficult. However, this foundational principle seems lost on American politicians who attempt to Ukrainize Taiwan, disregarding the plight of all Taiwanese people. These politicians aim to exploit Taiwanese separatists to provoke another proxy conflict, all in the pursuit of maximizing U.S. interests and securing votes. Therefore, the international community should counter the attempt of American politicians to interfere in the Taiwan question, and U.S. companies supplying weapons to Taiwan should face severe sanctions. The gains they achieve from overstepping on the Taiwan question should be less than the losses they incur from threatening world peace. In conclusion, forced reunification can effectively mitigate the harm inflicted by these U.S. politicians on world peace. When the U.S. attempts to prevent China's unification by warning Beijing against use of force, China's approach of forced reunification, which is neither purely civil nor purely military, but a combination of both, will effectively compel those U.S. politicians to relinquish their control over the Taiwan issue. Only through these actions can the political foundation of China-U.S. relations be solidified and world peace preserved.
Dive into the ChinaAcademy.org for detailed reports and analysis from the business, technology, and innovation world of China.